So we talk about one of our partners by providing education, information, call it propaganda, but documents explaining some of this information. That is a huge tool that we try to use, as well as the information that they provide for once a person has been named as a conservator or a guardian, to help them understand what their job is going forward. The information has allowed our guardians and conservators to feel like they've got something to follow. We give them some instruction, they get a copy of an order, but that doesn't nearly explain what happens day one, day two as a guardian, as a conservator, what their responsibilities are, what is a fiduciary responsibility, how they can use money, how they can affect the person's situation. Depending on the award situation, they're going to be either working with them a lot, in which case that's good because they can better honor the wishes of that person to the extent that they can. That makes sense. Or all of it's on them. They can't interact with the person. They have to try to do what they believe is in the interest of that person, as well as honoring their wishes to the extent that they can. Having patience, being able to work through those different issues. I don't know what quality you would want to call that. If it's just, certainly a quality would be organization, because you are responsible for someone else's person or their money, or both. And again, you have to keep up with that and record those interactions, provide information to the court periodically. You may have to provide information to other governmental bodies or insurance companies. Being able to keep up with details would certainly be an important quality. The information has allowed our guardians and conservators to feel like they've got something to follow. We give them some instruction, they get a copy of an order, but that doesn't nearly explain what happens day one, day two as a guardian, as a conservator, what their responsibilities are, what is a fiduciary responsibility, how they can use money, how they can affect the person's situation. Depending on the award situation, they're going to be either working with them a lot, in which case that's good because they can better honor the wishes of that person to the extent that they can. That makes sense. Or all of it's on them. They can't interact with the person. They have to try to do what they believe is in the interest of that person, as well as honoring their wishes to the extent that they can. Having patience, being able to work through those different issues. I don't know what quality you would want to call that. If it's just, certainly a quality would be organization, because you are responsible for someone else's person or their money, or both. And again, you have to keep up with that and record those interactions, provide information to the court periodically. You may have to provide information to other governmental bodies or insurance companies. Being able to keep up with details would certainly be an important quality. I would say in our county currently, active cases filed in the last year, they probably count for more than half. And those arrive to us through Adult Protective Services. Someone's made a report to Adult Protective Services. A worker's gone out and done an investigation, and they've determined that person is a person in need of services, in need of a guardian or a conservator, and that there may or may not be anybody willing to serve. There may be someone willing to serve, but they have to be made aware of the situation. So DHR will then get the court involved to either put together usually a guardianship, although it's not out of the realm of possibility for it to be a guardianship and conservatorship at the same time. Hopefully, just like in many other cases with DHR, they're looking to find family resources and identify those resources, put them together with the person, and hopefully we'll have a family member that can be that guardian or conservator for that person. In some cases they can't, and there's no family member willing or able to serve, in which case we have to lean on our sheriff, He was he is our guardian of last resort, and he serves on behalf of that person when there's no one else to serve. That's a result of just like our probate courts or that county court that we were first opened in 1852, I think, and we've always been that person who deals with these issues. We were what was called the infants and incompetence court in the past, and incompetence is along with what we're talking about here, people who are unable to make decisions for themselves. But that other, besides your judge of probate in the county, it's very possible your other person in the county who was an elected official was that sheriff. So the sheriff serves in a multitude of responsibilities, and this is one of those, and we're very appreciative to the sheriffs that do serve. Every sheriff has the right to elect or not elect to serve, and we're very proud that our sheriff works with us. It allows us to create that framework, and then DHR will stay involved in order to make sure that that person is being taken care of. And because some of our sheriffs have to do a lot more hands-on, I'm lucky ours has a good bit of support system through our DHR, so they're able to make sure those cases are taken care of. I would say talk to the person, talk to each other, make sure you identify what the issues are, talk to an attorney. It's a lot of discussion. We find ourselves needing a guardianship or conservatorship in a lot of times where the person may or may not be interested in having a guardian or conservator. We see people burn bridges with family members and their support system a lot of times when they're having without having these conversations, because either the person is unwilling to participate or the family needs more help than what they're getting. So talk, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, and make sure you understand what a guardianship or conservatorship actually is. It may be a situation where you don't need a guardianship or conservatorship. We try to think of it as we want that person to get just enough help to be able to do what they need to do without more confinement than is absolutely necessary, whether it's being able to make decisions, whether they're with help or independently, or whether the person can live independently, or whether they need a different type of living arrangement to be successful. But we want them to be able to have as much independence as possible. So it's that part of that discussion with the family is figuring out, what do we actually need? Maybe we only need a power of attorney. Maybe we need a healthcare proxy, or maybe we need a guardianship. So taking care of people in the manner that's required, and in a way that provides them with as much independence as possible. And when I say that's my passion, is I want to make sure that we're doing that, because it's easy for someone to say, once we've entered into a guardianship and a conservatorship, that the situation is finite. It's happened, it's finalized, and this is now the situation. It's never going to change. And that's just not the case. Without giving you a whole lot of information, I can tell you about a situation where a guardian had to at some point be put under a guardianship, and over the course of years has now gotten to a point where the issue has resolved itself, and now they're no longer under a guardianship. So their situation changed dramatically. And had we just simply said, okay, that person needs a guardian and that's the last word on the subject, they may still be in a facility. And that's the last thing anybody would want, is to keep somebody under a confinement of any type longer than they need to be. And once they're able to regain their capacity, to allow them to operate just as you and I did. So that was a very weird situation, but it just, that we talk about the passion, my passion is to make sure that we're not providing more care than required. I guess is maybe the way we want to make sure that person has what they need, and that we pay attention that those needs change. Well, I would certainly send them to the Alabama Guardianship website. I would say that they could, you can search 100 things online, do that with the understanding that every state's laws are different. If you are talking about a guardianship for a relative or person in the state of Alabama, make sure you are paying attention to the laws and the regulations in the state of Alabama. States can be extremely different at how they handle guardianships and conservatorships and who may or may not be eligible to do that. Once you've done a little bit of research and you've talked to each other, again, I would say it's good advice to say go talk to an attorney that deals with guardianships. If it's an emergency, if you think that there's danger, abusive behavior, elder abuse, make that report to the Department of Human Resources. The Department of Human Resources Adult Protective Services divisions are designed to go out and investigate those situations, and they can a lot of times help find resources or ways to deal with a situation that may keep us from having to do a full guardianship or conservatorship. I would just say that as you find yourself in these situations, again, have those honest conversations with your family members and the person that you're concerned about, their doctors, where when it's available, understand that this is a process. It's not always fun or easy, but it is certainly at the end of the day, we're all hopefully looking to the best interest of that person, and if we're all doing that, then it should work out.